Today on The Pulse, the state of Maryland just wrapped up yet another legislative session. Also, a fascinating business fact guaranteed to blow your mind. But first order of business, how hard did our county delegation fight for small businesses for this year? All of this and more coming up next on The Pulse. Hello, I'm Denise Roberts, and welcome to The Pulse. Joining me today is the Prince George's County, Maryland Delegation Chair, Maryland State Delegate Jay Walker. Thank you for stopping by today.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
Good. You know, I think it's so important that you're here because, you know, voter turnout in this county is so appallingly low. And I just don't think that residents and citizens and even business owners get how important their vote really is on the local level. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I think you can look at what's taking place in Maryland right now. Had we had a Democratic governor, I don't think we as a delegation would have had to fight as hard as for the things that we want. Education funding, transportation funding, just realizing the importance of Prince George's County. Prince George's County has the largest number of Democratic votes in the state of Maryland. We vote heavily Democratic. Had we had better turnout to the polls, we probably would have had a different governor in Anthony Brown. Instead, we have Governor Larry Hogan, Republican, and by us not showing up at the polls, when he talks about making some of the cuts to education funding, it's almost, well, this is what happens. These are the consequences.
And how do you think those cuts are going to affect our community?
Very tough. I mean, it's very tough. You know, number one thing is the geographic cost of education index. What that basically means is it costs a little bit more to educate a student in Prince George's County, Montgomery County urban areas compared to some of your rural tiers. That's additional funding to the classroom, and it's tough for me. You know, I go around all the different elementary schools and the high schools in my jurisdiction, and when you see a first grade class with 35 first graders in there, and then you go to the other first grade class, there are 35 students, you have to question how much learning is really taking place because we're cutting back education funding. We need an extra teacher, and we have larger classroom sizes.
Okay. Let's talk about the role of a state delegate. You know, what are we getting for when we cast that ballot and we vote for you? You know, you're in session for 3 months. What are you down in Annapolis? What are you there fighting for us?
Everything. You know, me personally, you know, I represent the 26th district, which is southern Prince George's County, National Harbor, Fort Washington, Oxon Hill, Temple Hills, Forest Heights. That area down there, a little bit of Akakeek. And it's my job to kind of represent your voice. I mean, as a citizen, you don't have the opportunity to vote on the bills that I have to vote on, whether it's education formulas, whether it's taxes, whether it's the gaming, which we had there. So it's my job to represent my constituents. I tell everybody a tough vote for me is something that I believe in, but my constituents necessarily don't. And an easy vote is something where we're all on the same page. Example, a tough vote for me, I personally thought we should have kept the death penalty on the books, but overwhelmingly my citizens said, no, we don't believe in that, so I voted the way of my constituents because that's the people that sent me to Annapolis.
What about how what you do affects the business community?
Sure. I sit on the Ways and Means Committee. I chair taxation now for the first year. And every time you talk to a business, the number one thing they want to have is to be treated fairly. It's for people to understand and appreciate what they do. They don't want to be overly taxed. They don't want to have to take care of the society. They want the public to do that as well. And also, what I've noticed in Prince George's County particularly, most of the small businesses, it's access to capital. You know, they want to have access to capital. They can have great ideas, but if you don't have the funding and they don't want to have to sign away their house, their first kid, their mama's inheritance, things of that nature. So it's my job to make sure we open up these vessels where we have access to capital, which seems to be the number one need for most small minority-based businesses.
And do you think that the business community is paying enough attention to legislative issues?
Oh, they're up there. we see them in Annapolis heavily. I'd say, you know, in Prince George's County, our Realtors Association is very strong. We have a very good minority business enterprise program, which really takes care of the needs we have here. But we need to expand that. I don't think we can just rely upon being small minority businesses. Montgomery County, they have small businesses, and they focus so hard on biotechnology tax credits. So where I'm trying to say, well, how do we get that involved in Prince George's County? We have some unique characteristics here. The University University of Maryland as a research, R&D research center. It's phenomenal. It's world class, but we don't want those companies to study at Maryland, be established at Maryland, and then leave to go to Montgomery County or go to the Baltimore basis. So I put in legislation that will give tax incentives to redevelop that whole College Park community, what it looks like, so we have more startup businesses, and that's how we can increase our business tax base here in the county.
And really quickly, because I do want to move on to something else, but how do those tax incentives translate into opportunities for the businesses?
Yeah, it's job creation. So anytime, when you run a business, it's all about dollars and cents. What's your baseline? How much do you pay in rent? So we have some ways when we can maybe waive the property taxes there, have a business incubator that will tell you what contracts are out there. It gives you an opportunity to grow. And at the end of the day, if you hire certain individuals, you may get a tax credit for that as well. So what we can do as a state legislature as well as a county legislator is try to give some of these tax credits, which are incentives to do business here in Prince George's County. Okay,
and just for a minute, can we just touch on the 2015 legislative session?
Yeah.
What were you doing in Annapolis this year? Because I know there were 2,200 pieces of legislation that were introduced. What were the highlights for Prince George's County?
Our number one goal, we went in there with a set game plan. It was to let everybody know that we're not just trying to ask for special treatment in Prince George's County. Things that are good for Prince George's County are good for the state of Maryland. When you talk about bringing health care to the second largest population, Prince George's Hospital, we need a new hospital. The second largest population, that's not good just for Prince George's County, that's good for the state of Maryland. When you talk about transportation projects, the Purple Line, connecting the two largest jurisdictions, getting cars off the street, that's not just good for Prince George's County, that's good for the state of Maryland. So by bringing the FBI with 13,000 jobs, that's way bigger than Prince George's County. That's good for the whole state of Maryland. So that was what we set out for. But at the end of the day, we were focused on education, educating a school system that's the second largest in the state of Maryland. We're ranked near the bottom. We're making strides, but we need to get better. So we have to make sure we get our education funding. And unfortunately, it seems like we fell a little bit short. We did everything we could do as a legislative body, but Governor Hogan is in charge of that GCI funding that I talked about. So we have to wait and see what he decides to do. Okay. Stay with us because we're coming back to this conversation. But before we go to break, the show is expanding and our family is growing. We want you to join us. Join our new small business club for a chance to showcase your business on this show. All you have to do, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pulse TV. And also send us an email with a link to your company website to sdddoutreach@co.pg.md.us with Small Biz Club in the subject line. Again, that email address is sdddoutreach@co.pg.md.us. Did you know that according to BuzzFeed.com, 70% of small businesses are owned and operated by one single person? Wow. How many employees do you have? We'll be right back.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, our guest today is Maryland Delegate Jay Walker, and we were talking about the legislative session. What were you able to bring home for Prince George's County?
We brought home a number of things. Obviously, we kept the cap on education funding. We had that removed. So Prince George's County will still receive the most education dollars compared to any other jurisdiction out there in the state of Maryland. Over $950 million for education. So that's record setting. We'll continue to work on that. We talked about the hospital. We got $30 million for our hospital. So we're going to move forward with that project there. Road infrastructure improvements. We've got Indian Head Highway 210. We'll start getting construction on that in 2016. So we're excited about those things we were able to do, along with a plethora of bills, too many to name.
Okay. And sticking with funding, do you support the county executive's proposal for a 15% increase in property taxes?
Me personally, as a homeowner in Prince George's County, no. I don't think we're ready to pay a 15% property tax. I do believe that we need to grow our economic tax base in terms of our business environment there, and I don't think we need to put it on the backs of the homeowners in Prince George's County. We've got some interesting projects coming through. We've got MGM at National Harbor coming through. We just opened up the outlets in southern Prince George's County. We're working on Kinterra. We're working on Westphalia. I think when these projects come and get established, they're going to bring a new source of revenue that this county's never seen before. So I think we need to play its course and see how much additional revenue that brings.
Okay. Now, while he had the proposal for the property tax increase, during the session, you proposed a 1% increase in Maryland's sales tax.
Yeah, a penny.
What?
Add a penny.
Okay, so what were you trying to offset with that?
And mine was different. Mine was clear cut.
Okay.
It was going to go to the voters first. His plan wasn't go to the voters. Mine was going to take to the voters and say, would you be willing to spend an extra penny if the money went only for school construction? That's it. Not paying teacher salaries, not paying security guards, only building new schools or renovating a school at least 60% renovation. If you just add that 1 penny, so if you buy a soda for 99 cents, you pay $1.05 now. If you pay $1.06, that was going to generate $97 million a year. In the state of Maryland, let you know how important that is. Governor Hogan's telling everybody we have record school construction. Well, he's putting in $258 million. That's for the whole state. 24 jurisdictions. We have to divide that up. Just adding this 1 penny would generate $98 million alone for Prince George's County, just for new schools. You can build a new high school every year, or you could choose to build 4 new elementary schools with that $98 million, or you could do 2 middle schools. It's our own funding source. In the state of Florida, they did this, a Republican state of Florida, they did it in Orange County, and they were able to generate 130 projects just off this 1 penny. Take it to the voters. If people want to do it, then I thought it would have been a good plan to do, because even with the county executive's plan, if you get that $135 million off the property tax he's talking about, we still have schools that are crumbling. We still have $2 billion we need to do in school construction. So I thought it was take it to the voters and let everybody participate in this.
Now, whether it's this plan, the 1%, or the property tax plan.
Two different things.
I believe, yes, it's 2 different things. But how can we be certain that that money actually goes to education?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
How do the legislators and our elected officials make sure that that money goes where they say it's going?
Yeah, I'm not here to defend Rashawn Baker's proposal because I don't get to vote on it. He has said that he's going to have it's going to be open. He's going to let you know where the money's going. A lot of it's going for teacher salary, teacher retention. But I think that's a question that the county council members have to answer. I mean, mine was clear cut. It was simple. If you didn't see cranes in the air, then we weren't doing what we were supposed to do with the money. I mean, I earmarked mine where the money could only be used for school construction. That's it. And so I think that would have been the barrier, and people would have had to vote on it. Okay.
And we have so many projects that are, they're slated for the revenues that will help our education system. You mentioned earlier FBI coming to the county, and the MGM projects. First of all, with the FBI, how secure are you in that they're going here? We got 2 out of 3 locations in our county.
In the county.
Are they coming?
I feel pretty good about it, really strongly. Give credit to Senator Mikulski, heading up that committee there, charged Senator Cardin as well. For the first time ever that I've been around, everybody in the federal level is saying it's going in Prince George's County. Now, Virginia's going to put in a bid for competition, but I feel very strongly we have an infrastructure already in place here. It's cheaper for the federal government, so I think we're in good shape.
Okay. And just like in 30 seconds, MGM, the money that we get from that, those revenues, education, when would we see that money?
Sure. Well, the MGM's going to open up in 2016. I think you have to wait 1 full cycle, so by 2017. And keep in mind, I tell everybody, MGM is going to bring $55 million to the county. That's the county share of it, $55 million. Prince George's County is a $1.8 billion school system. So is it going to be the answer to everything? No. But it is going to be a start. They've got some local impact funds there that'll really appreciate it. And I think outside of just gaming or not, this is going to they're bringing shows, entertainment, everything you want in Prince George's County entertainment.
Delegate Jay Walker, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And that's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you missed anything, the show is posted on our website. It's diversity.mypgc.us, and click on the pulse. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at PGC Diversity or our YouTube channel, The Pulse TV. Join us next time when we discuss social media marketing and how to know if your business is secure enough in cyberspace. Until then, I'm Denise Roberts, and I'll see you again soon.